Students, welcome back. We're in section 3 of chapter 1. We're going to do example 2, measuring and classifying angles. You do need to get out your electronic notebook template so you can put in this next postulate, the protractor postulate. And it says if you're given any line AB and a point O on line AB, then all rays that can be drawn from O can be put into a one-to-one correspondence with the real numbers from 0 to 180. Basically, they're just basically telling you that if you draw any type of line here, here's your line, and let's say here's O, any rays that you can draw corresponds with an angle measure. You can actually measure any of these angles using a protractor from 0 to 180, because we know that lines measure 180 degrees, and anything less than that can be measured somewhere between that. So we're going to be practicing measuring angles. We're going to classify angles. So definitely want to make sure you understand that there is a correlation between a line and any rays that you can draw from point O on a line corresponds to an angle measure, and that's the protractor postulate. All right, let's flip the page. Here's a picture of a protractor. Notice here the numbers are going increasing. The bottom row is increasing right to left, and it looks like from left to right the top line is increasing. Okay, some students are confused by that. Don't be confused by that at all. If your ray is starting, has an endpoint that starts on the left and goes out to the right, like OA, as it's shown here, then you're going to use the bottom row of numbers, and you're going to start here. Here's angle 0. Here's 10, angle 10, 20, 30, 40. So angle COA or AOC looks to be about 45 degrees. Looks like it's about halfway between 40 and 50. So it looks approximately 45 degrees in length, okay, as far as angle measure. Now, if your angle starts at O and your bottom ray for your angle starts at O and goes out towards the left, then you're going to use the top row. So here, this angle, if our line was drawn, from here all the way out through here, this would be 10 degrees, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then angle DOB appears to be about 65 degrees. So here, this angle measure right in here appears to be about 65 degrees. So anyway, you can definitely figure this kind of stuff out. I just wanted to show you how a protractor works. Classifying angles, you guys know how to classify angles. I really don't want to belabor this point. If it's any angle that's less than 90 degrees, it's acute. If it's exactly 90 degrees, it's a right angle. If it's greater than 90 degrees but less than 180, then it's obtuse. And if it's a full exactly 180 degrees, then it's a straight line. It's what we call a straight angle. So there's actually 4 kinds of angles that can be measured here: acute, right, obtuse, and straight. Okay? So let's take a look. I've got a picture here of a protractor with different rays shown, and hopefully it's big enough that you can see, and they're not trying to trick you with measurements, so don't think I got to be uber precise. Just get it as close as you can. I've tried to enlarge it as best as I could. The bigger it gets, the blurrier it gets. Your goal is to find the measure of each angle, and after you find the measure of that angle, you are to classify it. So they only gave you 3 options. You do always have 4 options. Straight angle is an option. So I definitely want you to remember that and don't forget that that is definitely an option, okay? All right, so let's look at the first one. We're supposed to find angle AOD, okay? So this thing right here, we are looking for AOD. So it is definitely, just visually, we can see that it appears to be obtuse, okay? And of course, we're going to let the numbers drive that answer. We're not going to make assumptions. We're not going to say, well, it looks like it's a right angle. It looks like it's 90 degrees. You know, we don't want to do that. We want to let the numbers verify it. So remember, when this ray starts on this side, we're going to use the bottom row of numbers, and we're going to come all the way over here. So if that's 90, that's 100, 110, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, here's 170, there's 180, that's a straight line right here. It's not that quite far down. So it's between, it looks like 160 and 170, so we would estimate that about halfway between, and we'd say it's 165 degrees. Okay? So let's try another one, angle COD. All right? So angle COD. All right? So what we can do is do just a little bit of subtraction, kind of like we did with the segment part of it, and on the back page, page prior, I didn't do a good job explaining that, I don't think. You know, if you were trying to find COD, for example, you could find and subtract wherever C is located and D is located. You could subtract them in any order as long as you take the absolute value, and you could find it that way, kind of like what we did in a previous lesson, okay? So let's come here and let's figure out, let's approximate, because we're finding COD, so we need to figure out, you know, where is this number located and where is this number located, is what we need to do. And so if we start at the C, it looks like it's approximately located halfway between 70 and 80. So we would say, okay, that's about 75. And then we're going to subtract from it the location of where that ray OD is going through. And we've already identified that. We said that was, we thought that was about 165. Okay, and you have to take the absolute value because we're not going to deal with negative angles. And so we're going to end up with, you know, when you subtract those two, you're going to have the absolute value of negative 90, which is 90 degrees. And we can classify that as being right. That's one that's so close, just eyeballing it, you're going, ooh, I'm not sure if that's acute, right, or obtuse. You're just not really quite sure. So you got it on that one where it's too close to call, let the numbers drive that, okay? Let's do BOA. BOA. That's going to be right here, this little piece right here. So that's pretty easy. We can just look at that. Our bottom line is, you know, at 0 degrees, and we're just going to measure at 0 up to where is that, and that's 40 degrees. So at classifying that, we'd say, well, that's acute. That's acute. Okay? So we let the numbers drive it if we're not sure. Now, some of them are pretty obvious, and you can classify them ahead of time, like we did with letter A. We could have done that with C as well. B was a little bit mysterious, so we needed to do a little work there. All right, I'm going to leave the last two for you guys. So let's do some extra credit there. Find angle DOB for me, and then find angle EOC for me. All right, good luck with that, and we'll check those in class tomorrow.